Yes. Thank you, Carmen. So we've muted your lines, and should you wish to speak or ask a question at any point during the presentation, just be sure to enter them into the chat box as we go along, and we'll answer them as they come up organically. Welcome, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today, those of the Matagami and Matachewan First Nations in the Treaty 9 territory. We acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home, and we do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. The Chamber continues to advocate for Indigenous issues, particularly those of the Mushkegowuk peoples, issues that the Timmins Chamber keeps close to heart, and so that we can continue to be partners in walking the path to reconciliation together. With that, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territories of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people from across the region. My name is Cameron Grant, Senior Policy Analyst for the Chamber, and joining me today is Taran Bassan, Program Coordinator for Link North. Taran, nice to have you here today.
Nice to be here.
Excellent, that's great. So the Chamber, along with our proud pillar supporters, are pleased to continue promoting the Reimagined Resiliency series. As regional businesses, organizations, and the support organizations that serve them continue to navigate pandemic recovery, the Chamber has launched a program entitled just that, Reimagined Resiliency, a series to ensure our businesses can navigate any storm. I would like to recognize any members and our friends who are joining us from across the 27 Northern Chambers of Commerce network. And of course, a special thanks to Caisse Alliance, our business, or rather our brand pillar support partner, as well as Link North, both of whom will be joining us today and sharing a few words of welcome. The pandemic has made clear the need for any small to medium-sized enterprise, nonprofit, or charity to look to digital platforms to ensure their business's ongoing viability. While Northern Ontario continues to be historically underfunded in broadband infrastructure, and many owners and operators lack capacity within their organizations to pursue viable tech platforms, the need to pivot online is vital to their continuity and recovery. This pillar and today's session will seek to understand that SMEs and other organizations, those that lack those human resources, can continue to create, curate, and actively maintain an online presence through helpful programs and platforms such as Canva that we will be discussing today. Now, I know that Taran will bring a few words of welcome on behalf of Link North, but I first would like to acknowledge Monique Fortin, who joins us from Caisse Alliance and will bring a few words of welcome as our co-pillar sponsor today. So Monique, je vous donne la parole. And you might be on mute. It's not a meeting without somebody being on mute.
Okay, thank you, Cameron. In July 2020, when COVID started to really show an impact on businesses, we established a fund, a $20,000 fund to help small and medium businesses in the communities at Timmins, Iroquois Falls, and Val-Gagné, where business owners could reach out and have a session with a marketing consultants for advice on how to proceed and maybe make a change to their brand or their way of contacting clients. So, and the fund is still available. And so if you know someone or yourself, you would like to benefit from this, you just have to contact Neonet, and they start the ball rolling, and then we cover $75 of the first session. So if anyone's interested, just reach out to Neonet and we'll go from there.
Merci beaucoup, Monique. C'est vraiment important ces partnerships comme ça. Donc, je vous remercie encore. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your support as well. And it's important to note, too, that I put the link in there to the BTIF and the Caisse Alliance Marketing Fund for those businesses after today's session who may be looking for a little bit more consultation support. And with that, I will also introduce Taran, who is the co-pillar support sponsor for the brand amplification. And Taran, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending this workshop. So my name is Taran Bassan. I'm with Link North. I'm the program coordinator here. So a little bit about us and what we do. So at Link North, we understand that entrepreneurs and businesses face many challenges while scaling or growing their operations. So I wanted to kind of highlight our Boost funding program, which supports business modernization and enhancement efforts. So eligible costs could include equipment, marketing and branding, information technologies. So really the first step to become a client is to go on our Become a Client page, which I will link in the chat box below at some point during this workshop. And then we will set up an initial meeting with you to discuss programming that's available to support your business goals and objectives. And we'll work from there. So I'm very happy to be here today with Cameron to deliver this Canva workshop. And we also kind of wanted to reiterate the brand pillar and how important that branding is for you and for your business. And that if you build, a brand with authority and authenticity, it's going to be recognizable. It's going to have a good reputation, and it'll carry your business that much further. So without further ado, Cameron, I wanted to hand it back over to you because I believe you're going to share your screen.
I can. Thank you, Taran, and thank you again to Link North for your support in delivering this particular pillar, one of key importance to myself as well, who genuinely appreciates some decent graphic design, and there's some good stuff coming out of Link North as well. So with that, I just wanted to provide a brief disclaimer. Neither Taran nor I are paid and or supported by Canva. Canva is simply just a very easy and user-friendly application tool that you can utilize within your business to elevate your current brand portfolio. And today we're going to go over a brief outline as to how you can utilize some easy quick tips and tricks to really make your life simple and really ensure that you're producing some impactful media or otherwise campaigns for your business's products, services, or otherwise. So the first thing I will note, and we will share our screen, is that this session will focus on those who have utilized Canva's paid version. So for nonprofit organizations, there's actually an application form that you can apply to utilize their nonprofit pricing. I believe it's something around $30. For the year. In fact, it's quite affordable, especially if you're a charity or nonprofit organization. For business, you're looking at something around $16 a month, but I can tell you it is well worth it because the free version does provide you with some applicability, but there is limitations that could otherwise become very frustrating. And let me tell you, Canva is very effective at trying to get your money, so they really withhold the good stuff. So without further ado, Taran, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Now, pardon me. You're going to see some of the most recent campaigns that we've been sort of trickling away with here at the Chamber. But ultimately, some of the first stuff that we're going to do is just sort of a high-level overview of what you can set up as a template right off the bat when you start utilizing Canva. So you've created your profile. You can do so by either entering your email and creating a password, or you can link it directly to a Gmail. So for ease of access, I'll show you here. So that's what it'll look like when you first log in. And for us at the Chamber, we utilize a Gmail function. So under the Timmins Chambers Gmail, which means that the login is still the same one. Pardon me. Thank you. Carmen's monitoring my screen mishaps. And all right, so there we go. So right off the bat, we're going to do a quick run through to ensure that everybody's on the same level. I apologize for the phone. It's a busy day here at the Chamber. But we're going to talk about compositions, fonts, colors, iconography, and essentially the voice. And the voice meaning, what's the tone that you're conveying? What's the themes and the colors that you're looking to convey that not only match your brand, your product, or your service, but the message that you're hoping to amplify. So right off the bat, let's look at how to upload a brand kit, including and especially if you have your very own font. So Taran is going to tell me where I should go, and that should be in Home.
So it's under Tools, Cameron, on your left-hand side, underneath Team.
Oh, there we are. And so here, thank you.
No problem.
efforts. So here is an area in which you can obviously upload your brand kit. Now, depending on where you are in your business, this is probably a good time to start looking at your own brand and thinking, is there a digital application to my brand, or is it only found in print? Is it embroidered on our uniforms? Do I only have it on the front of my building? Where is that brand living, and how is it working for you? So for us here at the Chamber, about 2 years ago, we had undergone a complete rebrand for the first time in quite some time. In fact, most of you may have remembered our little T that was surrounded by hexagonal chamber looking item. But anyway, so we've gone with something much more new and fresh. And while we're looking at this, I'm just going to quickly just open up this screen in general, because I wanted to show you. Now, some of you, especially if you're going through a rebrand or considering something like this, I would highly encourage you to seek consultation, because doing it in-house or hiring your niece or nephew or whoever to do the rebrand for you can be problematic. And that's not to discount the abilities of your niece or nephew, but it is in the sense that you need to have a little bit of check-ins here and there. So here at the Chamber, we, through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, were able to hire an intern for a 1-year process by which we were able to create our new brand. Now, you don't necessarily need to do that. There are consultants that exist. You're welcome to visit the Chamber's business directory and find a few local graphic designers that can certainly get the job done for you. So I won't run through all 32 pages, and I don't think it's necessary for every business or organization to have one, but it's important that it hit the key notes. So we're talking about, what is the brand? How do we do the identity systems? What is the visual language? And what sort of applications do you plan to use those within? So that would be things like social media, print, letterhead, signage, is it scalable? And some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to your colors, as well as your sizing and shapes. So with that, I just wanted to run into a few things that were very key to us, is identifying what exactly lives within your logo. And for us, we have what's called a word mark and a tagline. So that's obviously what the letters or visual representation of your business. So, if we're thinking of somebody, I'm going to pick on somebody who's on the line here with us today. Jessica West, Trezor Kombucha, right off the bat, I can see the angles and the shapes right on the label. And that to me, immediately recognizes her brand as being, something that has not only a symbol associated with it, but the words to me come right away when I associate myself with those angles and shapes. The other part is, of course, is that at the Chamber, we have different iterations of our logo. So earlier you saw the symbol, and that can live alone as well as just the Chamber, because it serves two purposes depending on its application base. And that's our symbol as well. So these are types of things that you see at the bottom of our letterheads, et cetera, et cetera. So I won't go too deep into that. These are various ways in which you can find the applications of them. Here's what not to do. And especially if you spent some money getting some consultation and really focusing on your brand, make sure that you protect it, because, some people will try to fancy it up a little bit, or put it in an application that otherwise. Really own your brand and make sure that you are the ambassador for it. So don't use off-brand colors, don't try to fade it, put some shadow behind it. Don't let people do that to you, for God's sake.
And that also means that when you're partnering with different businesses in town and you're sending them your logo, you're also sending them your brand manual, so that they have that instruction, right? So that they know what they're using this for and how to use it.
Spot on, Taran, and I think that's very important, and especially if we're working with ongoing partnerships on a year-on-year basis. Say, for example, you really want to have that particular instruction there for them. The other important thing to have is know that your colors, your primary colors, come with a set of identifiers. So for us, RGB, CMYK, those are sort of traditional ways of identifying. So if you're going to the paint store, you would know what colors to blend. This is the digital application of it. Canva uses what's called a hex code. And so that's what you see at the bottom here. And we'll show you what that looks like a little later on. But ultimately, that's the number that is associated with your specific color. So as you can see here, this is our Chamber blue, or on our walls in paint form, it's called Happy Talk, and the medium gray there. We have secondary colors, not necessary, but if you are getting really, really in depth with it, it is something to consider, and that's likely what your consultant will tell you.
Sorry, Cameron, I just want to quickly, if you could go back to the color scheme page. I just wanted to really quickly go over this for people that are not aware that RBG it's for digital applications. So this RBG and hex are for your monitor display. It's so that you can use your logo on screen for websites and different applications online like that. CMYK is for when you're producing, say like PDFs that you're eventually going to print out, or letterheads or things like that. So you kind of want to keep these things in mind too when you're looking up what you're trying to create in Canva, and you just kind of want to keep that in the back of your head too, because sometimes when you do RBG and then you download it, or sorry, RGB, and when you download it, it comes out your colors super wonky. That's probably the reason why. I see this happen so many times, so I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that too. But go ahead, continue.
No,
Sorry,
thank you. No, it's a good point. And again, there's a reason why this has become a fast growing profession. I mean, companies like Nike spend millions upon millions of dollars doing this a year because it is important. So, and again, a quick Google search as to what these represent will likely remind you how they're used in application. The second component to a brand is your typography. Now, this is, again, we're getting a little bit in depth as to how you should use your brand, but we're going to stop at about right here, and that's typography. Now, a lot of what is called the sans serif fonts, which we utilize here, as you can see, Calibri or Gibson. Gibson is specific to the chamber in terms of our brand usage. But those are something. Think about your brand and think about how the typography would work. We all know what Times New Roman looks like, or Papyrus. I would encourage staying away from those fonts because they are tired and old. Kind of like how I was feeling this one. No, I'm just kidding. But ultimately, these are things to consider. So if this feels dense, fear not, because likely what your consultant will do, or even if you just wanted to create a one-pager for yourself, is called a brand cheat sheet. And I use this quite frequently, especially if I'm, putting some Word documents together or something that I need to reflect. Maybe the text needs to be our chamber blue for a particular section. Well, I'm going to go back quickly to our cheat sheet and note here at the bottom that, oh, there's, the RGB color code that I need. Here are our subsections, and here's some sort of various quick check applications as to where and when I should use particular chamber fonts. So that's sort of the brand story, iconography, voice, color, fonts, etc., and sort of the application base. So if it seems dense, and again, the chamber is just trying to provide sort of an in-depth view, but you can always take that a step back and really just start focusing on at least getting your brand into the digital sphere in an appropriate way, as Taran had mentioned previously. So, and I think that lends quite transitionally to our next point, which Taran will likely overview with what does an impactful design mean to your business. And so Taran, I'll pass you the mic.
Yeah, of course. So impactful design, you obviously want your design to kind of speak for yourself. So we here at Link North, we talk a lot about kind of how we can do content marketing and how we can get the message across without saying the message. And we try to relay that into our designs, and that's kind of the philosophy behind how we create different pieces that we'll put out and marketing wise. So again, want to reiterate that branding isn't just about your logo, it's about building that trust with your customer. And Canva is obviously one of those tools that you can use to create this. So I just wanted to go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see this?
It's thinking about it. There we go.
There we go. Okay, awesome. So I kind of wanted to go into here and build a logo with you guys, just to kind of show you that if you do have a logo, that's great. If you don't, then at least you have this in your back pocket. So we'll go over to, I believe it's in features or templates. It's in templates. Over to logo, and we will create, maybe we'll do a health science kind of logo. So we'll go over to hospital. So as you can see that Canva, I should probably show this part first. Canva has all these different topics for your business, whatever you fall into, and they have even more. And again, you can try searching whatever it is that you're looking for up here, and they will likely have something that's similar. And then you can filter even more. So if you wanted to, maybe we want to do healthcare, but we want to do something that's minimalist. So we'll pick healthcare, we'll pick minimalist. And here you have all these logos that are at your disposal. So you can go ahead and pick any single one. And then we'll hit customize this template. And it'll bring you over to the space where you can kind of create and alter everything. So here's where you can really go in and kind of change the colors of everything. So we're going to go in here and we're just going to change everything to Link North colors. I think our colors are very pretty. So just go ahead and customize this any way you want. And we'll keep that yellow there. Maybe we'll change this to the Link North Hospital is what it's going to be called. Okay, so here we have a logo. You can also make it transparent too. So we're going to download this. Whenever you are downloading a logo and you want the background to be transparent, there's an option here for transparency. And you can see the different file types that you're able to download this as. So I'm going to go ahead and do PNG. I will recommend that everybody does PNG. JPEGs is what people probably are most familiar with. If you were doing a simple graphic or advertisement, then maybe I would go with JPEG. But you probably want PNG at the end of the day. And then you can go ahead and download it. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So it comes up with a completely clear background.
Taran, can we just magnify your screen a wee bit? So
sure. Are you able to see?
Just a little larger, just so that the lettering or the wording can actually be seen better.
Okay. I'm working with a really big screen, so it might be different on yours. Let me know if, can you see this? Is this better?
Yes, this is better. Yes, thank you.
Better? Okay. All right, so that's how you can design your own logo. I know that Cameron kind of touched on it, but I will also show you in your brand kit when you go over here. Hold on, I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit to see. You can actually have multiple brands within your brand kits, and I think that that's one of the more neat features that that Canva will allow, because we do work on multiple projects all the time. So I have one uploaded here. I was just testing it out the other day. But it will ask you for your brand logos. It'll ask you for your palette. And like Cameron mentioned, it's usually that hex color that they go by. So you can upload everything into here. I will also note too that if your graphic designer or whoever created your logo has typeface for you and you don't know how to upload that into Canva itself, you can use different free online typeface forums like Google Type will have a lot of different brand fonts that you can use that are free to use. I will also include all of this in the chat box too, so you guys have these resources available as well. And one of the other ones that I use a lot when I'm kind of doing branding and stuff is Coolers. So Coolers is really neat because it kind of helps you put together a palette without you having to go deep dive into Canva and have it do that for you. But this is just, again, it's just another resource, just so you have this in your back pocket. You don't have to use it.
So Taran, say I was given, a quesadillas green, and I knew what that green color was, but I wanted to match some other colors with it. Could I utilize Coolers to sort of show things? Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I do believe that there's a feature also in Canva itself that will allow you to do that. I'm not sure exactly how to use it.
I know exactly where it is, and I think we'll get to that once we start creating a design. But if you click, like you had there, and you click on one of your colors, and then you click on the upper color palette, it'll do the suggestions there.
There you go. Yeah. It does it on the side here for you. It also has default colors too, so that's nice. Everything's just in the center there.
Yeah, and if I was looking for a particular hex code to enter, so say, for example, I wanted my chamber blue in there, how do I enter my hex code into that? And I think you do that with the plus symbol, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, yeah. So you would use your plus symbol over here. And you can also use your eyedropper tool too. This is actually a new
try
feature.
chamber blue, say for example. So I think that's 00A 9CE.
9CE.
And that looks like chamber blue to me.
Awesome. There we go. We have chamber blue. So the chamber and Lake North are now opening up a hospital together, just so you guys are aware. We will also be going over. I'm just going to put together a quick graphic just to kind of show you guys what we do in the back end. But Cameron, did you want to add anything before I get to that?
Yeah, and I think so that's really important to understand, and Taran did a great job of sort of giving you that overview. Get yourself set up. Like, you know what, the hardest part about graphic design, I do not claim to be a graphic designer whatsoever, but I do have the great privilege of doing some stuff for the chamber and some other organizations as well. And I think, you know, the hardest part about any point of creativity is getting it started. So if you set yourself up for success, as Taran had showed you, you know, put your logo in there, get your colors in there, so that when you do have to create a graphic, all you need to do is go in there, and then you know that you're well set up. You've got your colors, you've got your logo in various iterations, and you're good to go. So, you know, just be your best friend and do that first. I promise you, it'll work out really well. So
yeah, it'll help you loads, and also considering what you're going to design, maybe design it out in your head first too. So that's one of the main things that a lot of people run into is they'll go into Canva thinking, okay, I need this graphic for Facebook. You know, we're doing our holiday promotion or something like that, but they have no idea what exactly it is that they're promoting. So I will usually get some ideas. Either I'll use one of their many templates that they have here. They have so many templates. They have templates for Instagram stories, Facebook posts, pretty much anything you can imagine. And they have integrations over here as well. They have integrations with Google Maps, YouTube, Instagram. So this is something to look at as well. And you know, you can do your own product design too, which I think is pretty cool. You can do smart mock-ups. You know, Cameron, eventually he's going to be publishing his book, and this is where he's going to go to make the cover of it. It's going to be called Chamber of Secrets, just so everybody knows.
yes, 100%.
Yeah, also, I just kind of wanted to add, you know, you can go to Pinterest and in different applications to kind of get inspired. So I have this one that's just labeled graphic design. This is where I put all my graphic design stuff. Just anything that I find on the internet that's either inspiring, or as you can see here, I have a lot of tutorials. I will refer to this almost every day, but just little things that, you know, little designs that I find that there's something in there that's unique. Like this is one where he's, you know, using the Y as a cup, and at the time when I looked at that, I probably had thought, okay, this is cool. I'm going to use this in the future, so I should pin it. So Pinterest is a really great resource for this. And the tutorials are super short on here too. So I would refer back to Pinterest if you need to get inspired. But we will go back over here. So I just thought I would do, I would redo one of the posts that I ended up doing for our pitch competition, which you guys might be familiar with. Cameron was one of our judges. He did a stellar performance. They're going to be hiring him on Dragon's Den. Keep an eye out for him. So from the very beginning, I just kind of wanted to walk you through. So we're just going to recreate this N1 Solutions official 2021 pitch partner Facebook post.
And if we could zoom in just a little bit beyond the 38%.
Sure, sure. How's that?
Excellent.
So there's actually not a lot of elements that went into making this particular graphic. It's actually really simple and straightforward, but as you can see, it's pretty clean. It's really neat design. So I wanted to introduce you guys to it too as well. Initially, when you come into this window, typically you'll notice that there's no rulers that are up here on the top and the bottom. So let's pretend that they're actually not there, and then I'll show you. We have rulers here, we have guides here. So I always kind of like my guides to be on, because you can go ahead and kind of just position them wherever you need them in the design itself. And it just kind of lives here. So while you're building your design, this is just going to kind of stick around here. I'm going to do a quick zoom just so that I could. Cameron, can you still see the screen if I do it this way?
Yeah, actually, that's perfect as it is.
Okay, awesome. All right, so to create this design, we ended up using a stock photo in the back. This one's not from Canva, but they do have a lot of stock images, and I will come here occasionally to steal a few. This one was something that I found on the internet, and then I had uploaded it into Canva. So I'm just going to quickly look for it. It's right here. Design. Okay, and then once your photo kind of comes in here and you know that you want this to be the background of your actual graphic, you can right click and hit set images background, and it'll go ahead and just resize everything for you. And if you notice here, his microphone is sort of shifted over to the right. So I'm just going to quickly fix that and double click and just using my keyboard and just hitting the right arrow and just bringing this to where I kind of want it so that the microphone is hitting the right spot. And then you'll notice that the background is navy. It's our it's a brand color for pitch. So to get that, I actually just put a blue shape. This is just found in Elements. And then I put it over top of this so that it's covering the entire photo. And then we'll go click on this again. And we'll turn down the transparency. So you can still kind of see him in the background, but not really. And then the next thing that I'll bring in here is this white, I want to call it, it's like a gradient circle. And you can also find that in your Elements as well. So they have different categories here that you can kind of scroll through. I won't go through all of them right now, but you can go through this on your own time. And I think the one that we want is gradient circle. So you can see it's already in my search history. I like the looks of this one. So I'm thinking I used this one in the past. Go ahead and click this.
And actually, Taran, if you just float over there again, for those who are currently using the free one, you'll see that if you hover your arrow over some of the graphics, it will indicate free, whereas the other ones will indicate pro. And that's the ones that you won't be able to access without having the paid version.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so we're just going to change this to white. Make it a bit bigger. That might be too big. I kind of feel like I'm Bob Ross doing this. We should be referencing Happy Trees or something like that. Okay, so we have our little symbol in the middle here. We want to add a heading. So we wanted to say official 2021 pitch partner. So I'm going to go over here to text. And the neat thing about Canva is once you upload your brand kit, it will take your brand kit and already show you kind of what your headings will look like in that font. So our font has already been uploaded here. It's Fira Sans. This isn't actually our pitch font, but it will show me the option of changing it to our pitch font, which is co-headline. So I went ahead and I changed it. We're going to change this color again to white. And it's going to say official 2021 pitch partner. Okay, and we're going to bring this all the way down. And as you can see, when I start moving this, Canva has these snap to guides. That's what they're called. Canva will want you to align your element to some point in the picture. So it'll kind of try to snap it to something, and it moves it on its own. So once you start fiddling around with it, you'll kind of notice that it will want to reposition everything for you. And that's kind of the nice thing, is it just helps support it. So I'm going to put that down at the bottom below. I'll probably bring that up a little bit actually. Okay. And then there's this little header here, a little subheader. It's called brought you by Link North. So we're going to add that as well. In the same way, we won't do it all in caps because we're not screaming. Okay, move this down at the bottom of the graphic here, and it already aligned it for me, so that's perfect. Okay, next we're going to bring in our pitch logo. So as you can see, you can also store a bunch of different logos in here as well. I just want to note that as well so that people can see that we have a couple in there as well.
You know, there's a lot of photos of Ross McDonald in there. I'm not upset by that, but I'm just gonna,
There are a lot of photos of Ross. The funny thing is that I actually went in here and I cleaned up a bunch of the images that we had before because I was like, oh, I don't want people to see what we're working on and stuff. But
Vanity is alive and well in the
it.
Ross McDonald office. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love photoshopping Ross into doing fun things. And he's a really good team player too. Like he just goes ahead with all of our ideas, so we love it. Okay, we're gonna bring in this yellow mic wire and this little turquoise guy too. Again, this is in my uploads. So click. Now we're gonna resize it. We're gonna turn it a little bit. See how I turned it here, just on an angle. I think this looks fine. I think we'll do 25 degrees. Okay, and then we'll move this over. Bring in the turquoise mic. Pop that over here. And then we'll bring in the last part, which is the N1 Solutions logo. Let's see if we have that here somewhere. There it is. There we go. Just want to make sure that this guy, this white orb, colorblind, is actually in behind the N1 Solutions logo. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to hit send to back. Maybe not send to back because it goes behind the blue, but we'll hit send backward. Or you can click the N1 Solution logo and then hit bring to front and it'll bring that one to the front. Maybe we'll bring down the transparency of this guy so that you can better see their logo. It stands out a little bit more. All right, and this is pretty close. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to what we have up here. So that's how you can create a graphic in Canva. I just wanted to open the floor and see if anybody had any questions at this time.
And well, if I'm monitoring the chat box there, but I did have another trick as well to share. So as you can see, there's clearly a lot of design components that are there to help you because I mean, our eyes are not always perfect. So to keep things, sort of aligned. And the other challenge that I face, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way as well. I just looked at this really crazy. Remember those days? Some people still do this,
Yes.
believe it or not. I could probably call them out by name, but I won't, because they're not here on the call, so there's no fun in that. But so we've obviously progressed quite a ways from the Microsoft Excel clip art, but it does bring back a level of nostalgia. So yay that. But for example, and like Taran had showed, I think the most challenging part about making a winning graphic, or at least what you feel like is a winning graphic, is creating some elements that have a background, you're balancing tone, and to me the biggest culprits come out around the holiday season because there are so many Christmas colors: red, gold, silver, green, and all of that mashup. That blended that with the various components of fonts and sizing. So the one trick that I find very useful in Canva is that when you're looking to upload some sort of background. So here I've got just sort of a standard Facebook cover. So I could go up into resize if I was creating Facebook post, say for example, I can search that, and there it allows me the option to completely resize it, fit perfectly for Facebook. Alternatively, if this was a Twitter post, you can see that you can pick the various components here. But for now, what I've done is just hit Facebook cover. So if I did want to create a graphic, about maybe my holiday hours, or wishing, my clients and customers a happy holiday, then, obviously I'm going to go into, so templates provides you with a full template outline. That means your font, as well as the background and some stylized items, as well as a color scheme. I'm not a big fan of them, and I know that Taran likes to create from scratch as well. So what I usually do is go right into elements, and I'm going to go into holiday season and try to find myself. Now it gives you all these are videos, audio, graphics, photos. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but I try to stay away from what looks like a more minimalistic clip art looking things and go right into photos. And so, if I wanted to do something maybe with this red ball here, but, right off the bat, if I resize this, first of all, it doesn't fit, number one. And number two, if I were to throw some, heading text right on top of that in white and write something to the effect of happy holidays, that's terrible. You can't see that at all. It's kind of frustrating. And so instead, and this is something that I do for almost every single graphic, is that I find something in the elements folder under the theme of holiday season. I pick one and then I absolutely make it huge like this, maybe a little bit smaller, right? That doesn't work for me because I like left style orientation. So I'm actually just going to go into the flip option here, flip it horizontally, and then I'm going to position it just like this, right? So now I've got a little bit more space in which my text will be far more visible. If I wanted to throw my chamber logo right up there and celebrate the fact that it is the holidays, these are all our board members, enjoy. Now I've got something a little bit easier to work with. And, keep in mind, you can do this for any kind of photo. So now that becomes, much more utilizable. It conveys that there's obviously a feeling of Christmas. I can move that over a little bit if I want it to be a little bit more reflective of, the holiday season, what have you. So that's just something that I truly enjoy. The other challenge that I find in Canva, and I don't know if you find this too, Taran, is when you have a larger text font like this, or rather font, when you get it on multiple lines, it gives you these massive spacing in between, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't know that we need that much space between it, but I get what they're trying to do, right? So what you can do is you can select the entire text within here and make sure that within the line spacing option, which is the second side, you just kind of tighten those up a little bit so that, it's a little bit neater and cleaner and really starts to convey the purpose of your messaging, right? So for me, that works just a little better, I think. So just a quick tip on my end for, if you get discouraged and you're trying to find a perfect graphic for the background and it's got a lot of busyness going on, stretch it out and then leave it in the background so that you still get those color components of it and the feel and the theme of the photo, but it's not busying it up so much that you can't actually read the text on the graphic. Right, Taran. All right, so where are we at now in our presentation? I think we're going to be talking about, so we talked about brand, we talked about why design is important, we talked about our color schemes. There aren't too many questions just yet, but somebody was asking also, where can I find the ruler at top and at side? Thanks, asks Katarina. So Taran, I'll let you show your screen
Sure.
again.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Can do.
Awesome. Okay, so you can find it up here in File. So you go to File, go down, it'll say Show Rulers and Show Guides. So you can, if you don't want your guides to show, you can click that and the Snap to function will turn off. And then if you want your rulers to disappear or appear, it's right here, Shift R as well. And I kind of wanted to also show you guys the background remover tool, which is pretty neat, Cameron. I know that you also use this one too, you mentioned. So say if we have a photo here and we just wanted to get this picture only of the girl and not of the Christmas tree in the background, and we just wanted to kind of cut her out of this image. Canva now has a background remover tool. So it'll take any image that you want and remove the background. If I can find it.
It's under edit. You had it there, yeah.
There we go. So go to edit image, BG remover. You can also filter your image. It has a whole bunch of options here for you to do. And it will almost perfectly remove the background from your image as well. And then you can continue to use it in your existing graphic. Okay, so this one didn't work, but typically it will remove the background of your image.
Actually, I think I've got a perfect one for you if you'd like.
Yes, of course.
And you know what, especially in COVID, I think that this was the challenge with getting people in groups of photos, especially if you're doing marketing design.
I was not expecting that. That's awesome.
Unabashedly, I'm going to be sharing what we did for our last year's Christmas themed, and of course we couldn't actually get together physically for a photo given the state of affairs. So what we did instead, and you know, we created this completely from scratch, is that we did do just that. So we, you know, took individual photos of one another. And then through that, we're able to compile each other as if we were, you know, almost together. And we did so with the use of that background remover. So just a quick example of what that would look like. And you probably want a high, you know, a relatively high resolution photo. So we'll take the Taran, for example, you know, and so you can see here that the background is slightly gray. And if we really want to make an impactful image and you know, sort of make her look as though she's incorporated with whatever design you're creating, you hit that BG remover, background remover, and it thinks about it for a bit. You know, and again, the higher resolution photo you have, the better result that you'll get, given the fact that it is trying to identify what is background and what is foreground. So for this particular image, you can see it just takes a little bit of time, but ultimately once it figures it out, there comes Taran. Right back into where she needs to be. And so actually we're just going to incorporate her as part of the team. And
wow, what an honor.
and there you have Taran who moves right into it. And again, you can utilize this in any application whatsoever, right? So if you know, you're needing to create something specific, you know, for example, I'll show you what we had done for our annual general meeting, which was obviously utilizing our board headshots, and headshots are always a great opportunity for you to create something like this. Now, are these stellar award-winning graphic designs? No. Is anybody else doing it? No. So I kind of feel special, but it's ultimately how you feel the application and use of it will work for your business. So we're going to use lovely Minikowski here. And again, we have a black background for a lot of our headshots. And so it also sometimes poses a little bit of a challenge, but you can see how useful or rather how unique this tool is, given the fact that Minik is wearing a black shirt on a black background. The algorithm will still indicate that it is her wearing the shirt, right? And so then, and it was the same with, as previously stated, with those backgrounds, the sparkles, a little bit much. So, you know what, I just want the sparkly kind of blurry component, almost like we're standing on a stage somewhere. So I'm going to stretch that out. And as you can see, the color scheme changes almost immediately. These are the same images in the background, yet it provides a different feel and some clarity so that the imagery and the text do not get muddled up into the background.
Cameron, could you also show us how to publish to different socials? I know that there's that option in Canva too.
Most definitely. Are yours linked, Taran?
Mine are not linked. Mine are
okay,
not.
So you do have that option as well. And this, depending on how you like to schedule items within your social media, I mean, that's a whole workshop in and of itself. The nice thing is that you can link your Canva account to the various social platforms that you utilize, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And for me personally, I enjoy a high level of control when it comes to posting these types of things, only because I'm used to, you know, downloading the image as Taran had showed you previously in your PNG option, and then uploading that directly to Facebook. However, you have the option to share directly. And so from here, as you can see, you can share the design with others to view and edit it, or you can go into the three dots right beside, rather to the right of the download button. And this provides you with a little more you know, facets in terms of where you can post it. So you can see here, I can share it to my Instagram business, as well as my Facebook page and Twitter. So if I do that, and just for the heck of it, I'm clearly on a few of them. I'm sure why not. Our IT person is going, you've just given away all privacy settings. So this is what happens, right? And then you pop up and it's not liking me right now, but ultimately, if you do end up connecting your Facebook, and you can do that through here, again, you have that quick option to go directly onto your social platforms. Alternatively, you can send it directly into an email, or if you just want to copy a link of it, if it's too large of a file and you just want to copy the link to share it with somebody so that they can access it themselves, you can do so through here, as well as you can save it to a folder. I mean, for me, I just continuously download here. This is probably, it goes into the abyss of the downloads folder, and then I allocate it to where it should be most appropriately. But beyond that, it's entirely up to you as to how you wish to share, particular items onto your various platforms. So I'm just going to pop back here. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention too, and I think we're starting to utilize Canva, especially here at the Chamber, for pretty well everything that we do. And that's not just for graphics, but we're also talking about slideshow presentations, or creating letterheads or annual reports. And all of these platforms, or rather templates, exist within Canva itself. So, say for example, we have our business confidence report here, which was wonderfully supported by Tisdale. And as you can see here, if I check what actual application we've used, this is the report document. And here you can see in the templates that I had, various templates from which to choose. And some of them are pretty standard. I can type in, that's going to be our annual report. If you have financial reports, daily reports, et cetera, even if you're doing a quick report to your board of directors, this provides you an ultimate, ease. Again, it has those snap to fit tools. Some terminology for it. You can create graphs. You can easily snap in where your paragraphs should go. But most importantly, the reason why we sort of switched to this platform is because we've already uploaded our brand kits. We've already uploaded our logos, our color schemes. We've already got all of our graphics, our board headshots, as well as our partner logos in here as well. So if you've already got it all in one centralized, uniform location, why cause yourself the grief of using 18 different platforms to come out with your final product? So even in here, you can see that I can enter the data and settings to add labels or remove the labels depending on what you're utilizing. I'll zoom in just a little bit. And this is something that you can kind of play around with on your own. But you can import data with your Google Sheets if that's where you collect your data, or input it yourself. How many employees did we have at that time? 30. Well, just kidding, it was 29. And again, the platform itself has actually become quite flexible. And I highly encourage you to explore other ways in which you could utilize Canva beyond just creating some graphics. So I'll stop the share for now. Taran, what do we have left? I think we're going to talk about integrations such as Google Maps, YouTube, QR codes, etc.
Oh, I think I already touched on that a little bit. I don't have anything else to add on that, to be honest.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
So the options are there. They're there in your header. But I think that's pretty much it. I think we did run through everything. If anybody had any questions.
Yeah, so certainly welcome to open up to the floor again. Again, this is just a high-level overview of some of the ways in which you can start thinking about utilizing Canva differently. I don't know about anybody else, but the Chamber is actually currently undergoing a Shop Local campaign, and we're working with a local team, a consortium of graphic designers, videographers, photographers, etc., to really understand what brand application and usage looks like, especially when we look at the northern landscape. I was fortunate enough to do a rebrand with Mount Jameson Resort, and in doing so, and I use this as an example because you think about a snow resort and what the colors would look like when you think of a resort like that. So the blue sky, the white snow, the green trees, and we came out with a fire orange color so that would look excellent against the backdrop of a winter scene. So when you're driving through Timmins, I'm constantly looking at people's signage, and here at the Chamber, we're fortunate enough to work with a lot of our supporters in utilizing their logos as well. So we've seen everything from somebody taking a photo of their logo on their shirt sleeve, and we've used that for print, and other members who have gone all the way up to creating their own brand manuals. So I noticed that Madison asked if we touch on the free Canva Pro account for nonprofit organizations, and we had. I may have falsely mentioned that it was a one-time paid service per year, but Taran, do you know more about that?
I'm not too sure, actually. We pay for ours, so apply now, it's free. Okay. So it looks like Canva has the option for nonprofits to apply. It looks like there's some eligibility guidelines as well. Thank you, Madison, for sharing that in the chat box. For anybody who's interested, you can go ahead and click on that link and learn a little bit more, see if your organization applies. That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and again, like if we think about the historical nature of graphic design, you know, a lot of people used to think of Adobe Photoshop, and those suites would cost thousands of dollars and require years of training, which you know, it's a fantastic suite if you are trained in that various you know, aspects of graphic design. But for the avid you know, small business owner who's just looking at going, you know what, I got some time on Tuesday nights, I just want to create a few you know, sort of creative graphics that, you know, can kind of promote some of the brands that we're utilizing. I mean, Canva is an excellent tool and it is worth its weight in salt. So I would highly encourage you to consider. And again, I haven't found personally, I haven't found another application. I mean, there are many out there that exist, but something as successful as Canva, just based on the no graphic design background to like, okay, I can kind of get away with calling myself, you know, an avid user. Canva is your friend. Taran, I don't know if you have any more thoughts about, you know, other platforms that exist.
No, I think you did sum that up really well. I do use Adobe Suite as well. I have a graphic design background, so I use Illustrator and I use InDesign. And I was the one who actually put together our pitch logo. So yeah, I would say Canva is one of the best tools out there. For anybody looking to make any designs or kind of just centralize all of those design needs. Cameron said it best. I think that Canva is a really, really great tool.
Yeah, and again, it's not something to be feared. Really, I don't, while there is a lot of rule books, you know, you have the rule of threes, you have a color scheme. Google is your friend when you're trying to understand what campaigns are successful and which ones aren't. I think that that's also important, but, you know, brand is more than just the name on your building. I think when you start to recognize, you know, not just walking in the back door, but walking in the front door of your business every now and then to see what the client sees as you come through, is how is that brand being translated to, you know, the service that people are receiving, the messaging that you're sending out, you know, your email signature lines. There's so many applications. And again, there's a reason why it's a $700 billion industry. Marketing is very effective when it comes to selling anything, because you're not selling a product, you're selling a feeling. You know, Coca-Cola is not in the industry of selling soda, they're in the industry of selling an experience. And ultimately, that's what really creates a successful brand. So solutions exist, support exists. You know, Link North is already an avid promoter, actually a very good promoter of brand excellence and awareness. And Case Alliance has stepped up with their marketing fund in tethered to Business Technology Improvement Fund with Neonet. So funding exists and support exists, and consultants do exist locally as well. So if you are curious, I will pop in the chat the names of some local chamber members who do provide these services. Taran's contact information, as well as this recording, will be shared afterwards, so that you can certainly reference back to it. But I did want to take a quick moment to provide Taran with some final thoughts before we let you go a little early.
Yeah, no, I would definitely, that was really well put, Cameron. I think one of the things I would just encourage everybody kind of to do here is a SWOT analysis maybe of your current marketing efforts or your current branding efforts, and really put yourselves in your customer's shoes. What are the steps that this person has to take to use your product and or service? What are they seeing? What are those touch points? And what's the message that you're getting across? These are all really important factors to consider in the buyer's journey and when you're trying to create conversions. So definitely, this is why impactful design matters. And I think Cameron really summed it up very well when he said that Canva is kind of an all-over tool. It's sort of that one-stop shop tool for people who don't have the skills and trades in Adobe InDesign. They don't have the funds to pay for software every single year. So yeah, that was really well put, Cameron.
Thank you. And yeah, so just as a final sign off before we go, and again, I would always encourage you to reach out to Link North or your chamber as well if you have any questions. But for the younger consumers today, you know, they're looking at their Apple iPhones or their Androids. They're looking at their, you know, their Keds, their Adidas sneakers. So the younger consumer has been literally born and bred with branding as part of every experience they've ever had in their entire life. And so if they're standing in front of their store wearing all of their $1 million branded items, and then look up at the sign and it doesn't translate to them and it doesn't match, then I think it's time for you to reconsider what your brand looks like and how you're matching that with the next generation of consumers. So again, support exists, and we're certainly always here to help. Would encourage you again to reach out. Just wanted to remind everybody, Nova Award nominations are out. So especially now, given the current state of affairs, if you know of a business who is in need of some celebration, take the 10 minutes to go onto the Chamber's website and give that person a nomination so that we can celebrate them at the 20th annual Nova Awards in May. And with that, special thanks to Taran and the Link North team for joining us today. Special thanks to all of you for taking the time out of your busy days to join us, and stay safe and be well. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.